Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Hope you all are doing well on this Monday. All right, so BYU spring camp rolls on. They will be practicing this week. Our next media availability will be tomorrow afternoon, so we'll have more for you guys for our Locked On Cougars Insider Group members. You'll get my notes shortly after that practice wraps up. But obviously, we'll have more for you guys as the week progresses on the football front. But as we kind of approach the halfway mark of the 15 practices, they participated. I think today they'll practice. That'll be 6 of 15. So we're not quite to the halfway point. But I believe that there are 5 guys from BYU spring camp who I would label as breakout stars here in spring. Now, I will add this caveat. Our media availability, we watch 20 to 30 minutes of what typically is a 2-hour practice. So it's a snapshot, but Kalani Sitake and his staff, they have not been shy about letting us watch team drills, full 11-on-11 action, full tackle drills. The last 2 practice sessions we've been able to watch the snapshot of. But there are 5 guys, like I said, who are standing out to me. And number 1 is a name that should be near and dear to your heart. It's Keelan Marion, obviously the All-American kick returner for BYU. Well, he is stepped up at wide receiver. Now, right now in practice, there's no Chase Roberts, who's recovering from offseason surgery. Darius Lassiter, it's highly unlikely, is what Kalani used the quote of him coming back to BYU for another year. And then other guys like Parker Kingston, they have not been participating in practice so far. So who has stepped up? It's not Darius Lassiter, Keelan Marion, excuse me. Keelan obviously very close to Darius. They were roommates, but Keelan has been really good at wide receiver in our option availability to watch him. Making big play after big play. Obviously, he's a threat to house a kick return anytime it comes to him in season. We saw that last year, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. He's stepping into a leadership role. He spoke to the media last week and has talked about how he has made strides, he feels like, in his game, trying to develop himself to be the best player he possibly can be. And if Keelan is going to be this good in season, well, BYU may not skip a beat, because essentially you would insert Keelan, in my mind, into the Darius Lassiter role opposite Chase Roberts, then have guys like JoJo Phillips, Parker Kingston, and some emerging younger players like a Tei Nakua, Cody Hagan, Dominique McKenzie, etc. Wide receiving core, it's stacked. The thing about this is all these guys, LaMason Waller, who's a early enrollee, all of them have skills, and the nice part is that wide receiving core is very good. But Keelan Marion, he's been really, really solid early on. Flipping over to the defense, Kinilau Fonohema at defensive end has been a guy that I've noticed has been really starting to emerge at D end. Now, there's a lot of young talent at the defensive end spot, but Fonohema has finally kind of grown into his frame. He was a really tall, rangy guy at Springville High School. They now list him at 6'5", 240 pounds, and he finally looks like he's got the meat on his bones requisite to allow him to really emerge at defensive end. Now, he will have to stave off some stiff competition. There's a lot of other defensive ends out there on this roster who are hungry to establish themselves, but I've been very impressed with Kinilau. He seems to make a play here every time we're out there at practice, and has been very good both in pass rush and especially when it comes to rush defense as well at defensive end. Staying on the defense, number 3 on my list, Jonathan Kabeya. Now, this is not a secret because Jay Hill already shouted him out for his stellar play at cornerback for BYU. I think BYU has found their next Eddie Heckard. Now, remember, Eddie a couple of years ago was a grad transfer in from Weber State College, 5'10", $190, and played all over the field. And Jacob Robinson kind of filled that role last year for BYU on his way to all-conference honors. Well, the next guy, I believe, is Jonathan Kabeya. Kabeya is listed at 5'10", 170-ish pounds, and he has been very, very good at slot corner role, but Eddie Heckard was unafraid of taking on the biggest, the brightest, and the best athletes he could find. And I think that Jonathan Kabeya is very much on his path to doing that. But the nice part is Kabeya, he may have redshirted last year. So he may be a redshirt freshman. If at worst, he's a sophomore. So you got potentially multiple years with this kid. And he's flashing a ton of potential at cornerback. And that should excite you as a Cougar fan, because if you have Evan Johnson and Maury Bamba manning those outside corner spots, well, Kabeya, his multifaceted role, playing that slot corner / nickelback role, that is a nice spot for him to slot in and obviously contribute at a high level. Flipping back to the offense, Pokaiaua Haunga. Now, Haunga is known as nickname is Glitch. That's what the teammates gave him, or he's been known that for quite some time. I think we're finally starting to see him come into his own. He is going to play a multifaceted role similar to Kabeya on defense, but on offense here for BYU. He grew up playing wide receiver. He's also played running back at Timpview High School, and BYU will use him in all those roles. He will be a guy who can come in, take the fly sweep and end arounds. He'll be able to run up the gut. The one thing I've liked, what I've seen so far in spring, is he's not afraid of contact. He's not the biggest running back on the roster. You have guys like Sione Moa who are battering rams compared to Pokai, but I love what Haunga has showed. He is unafraid of taking on contact. He's become more of a true running back in that sense, but the fact that he can play out as a slot receiver, can play in motion, all the different things he can do on offense for BYU, I think you're going to see him flourish this year in this BYU offense. At least I think so right now, because I think he's been very, very solid in spring camp. Now, my final player is a grad transfer to BYU, a guy who is seizing his opportunity, and that is Carson Ryan. Now, transfer from Utah. He's got 1 year to get it right. There's been a dearth of talent at tight end for BYU because of all the guys who graduated. Also, a guy like Reiner Swanson exiting the program to go on a mission for the next couple of years. Well, enter Carson Ryan, and he's been everything I think BYU could have hoped for when he came in from the University of Utah. He's got 4 years of college experience, 3 of them at UCLA, and obviously last year at the U of U. And I have seen him make play after play. If you look at the highlight reels that BYU puts out after every practice, number 20, he's on full display every single time, it feels like. Carson is going to be a big, big piece of this BYU offense. At least that's the way it looks right now. Could another tight end or tight ends step up? Maybe a guy like a Noah Moyaki supplant him? Maybe so, but I have not seen anybody at tight end make the plays and do what Carson Ryan has been capable of doing so far. It's been really, really impressive to watch him go out there and ply his trade. You can tell he's a veteran player. He has got the body control, the speed. He's a willing blocker. That's another thing about this. BYU's tight end unit seemingly has been split between pass catchers and blockers the last couple of seasons. Carson appears to be the nice meld of both of those. A willing blocker, may not be perfect blocking, but he sticks his nose in there and gets after it in the run blocking scheme. But then when he's out there in pass patterns, he makes himself available to guys like Jake Retzloff, and Jake has been very, very keen on finding him early on in spring camp. And a lot of you have been crowing about, hey, I want to see more from BYU's tight ends. Well, Carson Ryan might be that guy to bust the mold and emerge as the next star tight end for BYU. It's been really, really fun to see from him. So those are my 5 breakout stars so far from spring camp, but there's plenty of time for other guys to emerge. I put together an honorable mention list. I'd also include guys like John Taumoepeau at defensive tackle. I think he's been very solid. Anisi Purcell also at D tackle. Keanu Tanavasa is obviously, he's a known commodity at this point, so I didn't put him there. Austin Leusa at right tackle. He played right guard all last year, and there's some question about who's going to slide out at right tackle so far. Austin played right tackle at Southern Utah, and there was some concern that, hey, can he operate in space at the Power 4 level like he did at the FCS level? Well, he came to BYU, played guard mainly last year, but now he's slid out to right tackle, and I think he's been very solid so far. So keep an eye on Austin Leusa at right tackle. And then the final name on defensive line, Orion Maile Kafusi. Orion, similar to Kinilau Fonohema, has made multiple plays in the media viewing portion. He's a guy who came to BYU after a mission. Had originally opted to sign with Oregon State out of high school, then went on mission. Now he's back at BYU. He's been on the program, I think, 2 years now. So he's been really kind of waiting and working, but it seems they've been paying off so far in spring camp. So there's a few other names to pay attention to as spring camp rolls on. But we'll have more of these check-ins as spring camp continues, because I'm out there and I want to pass along what I'm seeing / what I'm hearing. And I think all of these players I've mentioned today, all of them will have a key role for BYU's success in 2025. And hopefully they all stay healthy for the long run here.